we are looking at probably one of the best fundamental setups that we've ever seen for crypto.
Today I sit down with crypto veteran EllioTrades.
I still think genuinely we have a great shot at breaking 200K this cycle,
as he shares his best crypto investing strategy into 2025.
What I have been doing is I've been essentially preparing against my own excitement, my sell targets.
I ask Elliot the tough questions.
When does altcoin season start? Is it when the Fed cuts rates?
And watch today's whole video as Elliot shares the one game,
A true AAA game, true AAA.
the one crypto game that he's most bullish on.
Generally, the sentiment around this game is that this is going to be a successful big game.
Click the like button if you want to support me. And Elliot, let's start where we stand in crypto today.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to like what's happening in crypto. Obviously, politics is having a huge effect, but it's important to realize that while one side is embracing crypto, both sides will spend. And that's really what it comes down to, is that, in the end, both sides are running up the national debt. The national debt requires fiat debasement, and all that is going to be heard in the land of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And so we are looking at probably one of the best fundamental setups that we've ever seen for crypto. And it's just hilarious that the community is so antsy. And I think it's just taken a little longer than it seemed like it would. I don't know exactly why, but there's definitely a lot more angst than I think is justified. And I'm just super, super excited and actually quite grateful just to even be here because it seems like, I just feel very lucky to be a part of crypto right now. I think it's going to be an amazing next 12 or so months.
BlackRock still aggressively buying. Fidelity, all the Bitcoin ETFs. In fact, globally, they now own over 1 million Bitcoin globally. Does this change the 4-year cycle for you in any way?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does for sure. I think that the narrative right now is that this is the last cycle. I think that it is certainly going to be a different cycle next time when you have institutional order flow on Bitcoin. That is going to change the downside effect. As you can see, these ETFs are buying in size as the market dips, as retail or the smart money like us is apparently getting shaken in their boots and selling and cashing out. The stock market buyers are just buying and buying and buying. And I think it's because they'd studied Bitcoin, the institutions buying Bitcoin on the stock market had studied this long enough to know that the only strategy is a strong and aggressive DCA that's front loaded before the parabolic rise happens or after it falls. And so they're looking at all of these sort of pre-cycle dips as amazing opportunities, as we talk about on our channel, but they actually have the capital to match those strategies with action. And so what you're seeing is just a passive, repetitive bid on Bitcoin. I do think, though, that what's a little strange, and Kobe had a tweet here, is that you would have expected with over $20 billion in assets accumulated in the ETFs that you would see a higher price for Bitcoin. That's certainly something that's starting to become a bit confusing to me, how you could have so many assets being accumulated in these ETFs without the price moving aggressively. But at a certain point, it will eventually crack and we will get the momentum going. With all that said, though, I do think that this fundamentally changes the downside reality for Bitcoin. And it might in some ways dampen the upside long term, but I think that happens next cycle. I still think genuinely we have a great shot at breaking 200K this cycle.
Wow. Give me if this is a super cycle or the last big cycle in your case, and as you say, what is your bear case, base case, and bull case for Bitcoin?
My bear case is obviously going to be bearish, meaning that would be something we don't expect to happen and something that would underimpress. And I would say that's about 80K. And that might seem like a cop-out answer, but it's true. I think that 80K could, in a bearish scenario, be a top. And I think that could be something, after we've been in crypto so long, we've seen the market play with our emotions a lot. And certainly, could you imagine breaking 80K and then that being it? That would be so poetically heartbreaking for everyone, because everyone would essentially be putting all their chips in at the top there. Now, that said, I do think my base case is that we hit somewhere around 120K. That's where I'm expecting for Bitcoin to make it. That's really, I expect that somewhere between 110 and 130. Like I know we're going to make it past 100. And the question is how hard we run after that. And then the bull case would be over 200, specifically, targeting somewhere around that $250,000 round number. The reality is, though, it's impossible to know. So what I have been doing is I've been essentially preparing against my own excitement, my sell targets, and they start after Bitcoin hits 80K. Now, some people would say, why are you selling so early? And that's because I was aggressively buying while Bitcoin was under 20. And all throughout this run, where many altcoins with Bitcoin at 80K will be up 10, 20, some over 100x from where I bought them. And so while the run might be just getting started in the mainstream concept of this overall time high bull run, the truth is that I simply have to enforce a profit taking strategy. As we all know, the market goes up, it also goes down. And so I will be starting to take very small, like you're looking at 10 to 15% profits being taken at 80K. But I'll be looking to do meaningful selling if we get over 110K. That will be where I'll start doing meaningful selling.
Honestly, to me, that sounds like you're an OG in the space and you're in it for the long term with a strategy like that, because many people will let the cycle go by, think it's going to go 2 more X and never sell. So I respect that. Elliot, when does altcoin season start? Is it when the Fed cuts rates? Is it when after Bitcoin clears 100K because of wealth effect? What do you think?
Yeah, so alt season is a funny term. It's hard to say because in the end, I've been riding alts that have gone way up, and you could make an argument that some altcoins have been in season. However, I think what people are really looking for when the top 100 alts all push up together in unison, that has always happened after Bitcoin has convincingly, and I'll use that term here, convincingly broken its all-time high. And what we saw last cycle or every cycle is that Bitcoin tends to almost double when it really breaks its all-time high. It almost doubles pretty quickly. And we didn't see anything like that this cycle yet, which is why I call the current all-time high more of a deviation than it is an all-time high break. So my outlook is that when we see Bitcoin really make its move, over 80K and probably over 100K is going to be, if you think back, looking at the Matic chart, right? Matic is a great example, an altcoin that was putting out updates, constantly putting out news, well-known. It was a Binance IEO. Everybody knew about this coin and it had plenty of footprint in the industry, but it just ranged between 1 and 3 cents for years. Then Bitcoin broke out. But if you look at Matic didn't even start moving until like February. And Bitcoin had broken out in late December of 2020, and Matic was literally at its range low. And so you saw Matic didn't even move until months later, and Bitcoin was almost to 40,000, meaning it had almost done a full 2x over its prior all-time high, which in modern terms would mean well over 100K. So then we got a 300x, right, out of Matic. And that was one of the biggest gainers of the last bull run. Same with Solana. Solana was down 80% from its local high when Bitcoin was breaking out and looked like a dead coin. And so when people say, well, why is Bitcoin near its highs, but the alts aren't? I would say, please study 2020. Look at the sentiment. I have a pinned tweet on my Twitter profile that says, remember the end of December 2020. And all of the tweets are just, alts are wrecked, alts are dead, never alt season again. And this is a tale as old as time, which is why I'm always surprised when people hate on me when I talk about buying altcoins during the bear, because in the end, so far, every single time, the right alts have gone on major moves eventually when the market does heat up. And so unless we see Bitcoin go to 150K or something, and then the alts don't move at all, I can't imagine that happening. I'm going to stick with this strategy.
Solana or Ethereum today? I know 6 months ago you were a big bull, I mean, before that, but you were a big bull on Solana. Has anything changed or are you still weighted that way?
I would say that, 6 months ago was kind of prophetically early on this new Solana train, and that my initial targets, I have a tweet that you could see where I talked about Solana being in a similar cycle to Cardano, where it had its big breakout run in the 2021 cycle, and now it's on its second cycle. Cardano had that, where it had its big breakout run in 2017. And then it had this horrific bear market and still went 100x off of the low. So the low for Solana was $8. So I said, look, if it just pulls a Cardano again, then it's going to do $800. And that was my price target, just based on nothing other than weird moon math. Now Solana has become the epicenter of on-chain culture and trading, and there's an entire new generation that prefers Solana to Ethereum. I would say that the adoption metrics of Solana have far eclipsed anything that I expected, and I would expect that now with Fire Dancer and sort of Solana 2.0, if you will, that things will only get more interesting from here. So I would say Solana, the $800 price target, I'll stick by that, and could very well do multiples of that, though I will be selling starting at that $800 price target. And I'll be selling a little bit at 500, and then I'll start really having meaningful sells over 800.
Elliot, whenever somebody asks me about crypto gaming or they're looking for a gaming channel, I always recommend yours. I'm a watcher, I'm a subscriber. By the way, links down below in the video description. But you have been on record that one good crypto game can change it all, meaning bring the masses into Web3. What are 5 crypto games today that you think have the best shot at getting mass adoption?
Yeah, it's a really good answer. Before I go fully into it, I kind of want to just be really clear. Everybody's looking for a consumer app for crypto, and there hasn't been one yet. And that's because, in my opinion, the business models are very flawed. So you saw this with some of the SocialFi stuff where people were taking, group chats like Friend Tech, trying to cryptofy them and make them kind of assets that are tradable. The problem is that in order to entice the crypto community, those returns need to be way too steep and they need to be way too front loaded. And so once it scales past a few thousand people, things get way too expensive. Valuations get way too high. I don't think that model has any sense of how to onboard billions of people. Whereas, or if it does, it just becomes you're just using crypto the same way we use, credit cards. It doesn't actually feel like you're gaining meaningful ownership of the protocol. Whereas gaming has a very, very clear business model that makes sense at scale for having digital stuff transfer around. So I think the business model of gaming is a perfect fit with the actual way that we trade digital assets. And that's why I think it's got the biggest chance of becoming that digital breakout product. Now, as far as specific games, people are very frustrated because we've seen the promise in 2021 with Axie, then was all this funding, billions and billions of dollars put in. We haven't seen these hit games come out yet, which is super frustrating for the community who are there, turning into skeletons waiting for crypto gaming to go to the moon. Well, games take about 2 to 4 years to build. Most of that funding came in the beginning of 2022 onward. And so you're looking at really the beginning of 2024 as just like the first possible window to see some of these games come out. And we're finally starting to see some of them come out. The first of which that is absolutely, to me, the number one game that we should all be rooting for is called Off the Grid, and it's by Gunzilla. And so that is a true AAA game. True AAA. It is I've talked with household game developers, people who have sold over $5 billion in their games in revenue. I talked to a lot of Web2 game creators, and generally the sentiment around this game is that this is going to be a successful big game. Now, will this translate into what I call crypto users? And I want to be very clear. What that means to me is someone who goes from just a player of the game to someone who is a buyer of assets. That's what we want. When we say onboard people, we don't mean, hey, look, you set up a wallet and now you just have an empty wallet. We want people buying our bags, right? We want people buying our coins and contributing to this movement. That's, I think, what we mean when we say onboard, right? But so the question is, how do we know how successful games will be on onboarding crypto users? Well, we're going to find out, but I really, really am a huge fan of Vlad and the whole team over there at Gunzilla. They are absolutely crushing it. The game is gorgeous, and I highly encourage everyone to check it out by any measures. That is a high quality product. And so will this be the one that, the levees break and all of a sudden the water washes in? I hope so. We will find out, but there are several other games coming. Certainly, I could go on and on here, but I just think it's simpler for us to rally around the closest game to launch that actually has the highest quality. There are many, many other ones I could point to, but I think Off the Grid is that this is coming. It's coming very soon. It's incredibly, incredibly good. And this is something we can all just rally around and root for. Full disclosure, I'm an investor, I'm an advisor, and they're partnered with Superverse.
I'm an investor as well. I can't wait. Is that coming soon? Like in the next few months?
I mean, I've heard such. We know that these gaming titles can have a little bit of delays, so I think that's kind of, they're just putting the final bows and ribbons on this. But when I say soon, I mean this year. I think is a fair expectation. And as someone who we met in 2019, and I was already completely sold on the crypto gaming narrative, working on crypto gaming, and I've been obsessed with this now for so many years that for me another few months is nothing.
Absolutely. Long term. I'm going through your Twitter right now, Elliot, and you recently tweeted, "This is one of the craziest timelines to ever exist. Living through history. What a time to be alive." How's crypto relate into that?
I mean, what's crazy is that it's kind of at the epicenter of this, right? You have, this wild, unprecedented election. Like, regardless of where you are in the political spectrum, this is unusual, right? You have a president who has been essentially rendered not capable of rerunning. Whether you believe or not that makes him capable to serve, that's your that's your own judgment.
Well, he's
What
out.
we
So,
well, he's out, but he's still president, right? And
oh,
so,
yes.
like the questions of, how long have these things been known? Very, very normal questions to ask. All of those are very interesting questions. What I can say is there's never been an election like this. We also now have one side completely embracing crypto. That's never happened, right? It's a new asset class. We've never had a side. Nobody cared about us, crypto people. Now we have a side. It's not the side politically that I've grown up supporting. Being quite honest, as a California lifelong liberal, so it's very unusual to see the sort of thing that you care about most being supported by a team that you've never rooted for. And so, my eyes have just been kind of opened as I feel kind of quite disconnected from any political party. But I'd say that what we're seeing is that the charts of Bitcoin are so directly reactive to every single news event. It's like, I don't even need to know the news. I can go look at the charts and tell you what happened. It's an incredible moment in history. We're seeing a divergence between the news and what we're seeing on Twitter. We're learning stuff on Twitter days, sometimes weeks before it's put out and officially announced in the news. To live through such an incredibly tumultuous time, I think is I personally feel lucky because these massive changes in society present massive opportunities, but it's just downright entertaining. I mean, if you can step back from the emotion of, everyone feeling like if their side doesn't win, the world's going to end. I personally think, hey, look, we are nonstop getting dopamine from the news. We are nonstop getting crazy. Like, think of how boring life was in like 2012 or something, like there was just nothing to be worried about or crazy about. And every day I feel like fireworks are going off. So we're living through the history books, and it's going to be very, very interesting time. I can't imagine. I couldn't imagine experiencing this several years ago. And I sometimes wake up and just go, whoa, that's what that tweet is. I was literally just thinking to myself, like, what is even happening right now?
It does feel like we're in a simulation, or the most storybook, or what happened in a movie, isn't, like real life. So it's interesting. Elliot, if somebody was coming into the market today, crypto investor, what's a strategy you would advise?
Yeah, I mean, so I believe that the easiest way to make it out of the cycle with sort of, like, not guaranteed, there's no guarantees, right? But I believe that the easiest strategy is to focus on the key categories that have the most relevance. And right now, those categories, according to me, are artificial intelligence, memes, and gaming. Gaming is probably what people would say is the least hyped out of the three, but just based on what I'm
It's the
focused
only
on.
one that hasn't hit yet. The other two have hit a little.
The other two have hit, but if you really take a step back, the reality of AI is that we have no idea what AI is really going to be used for. AI coins, in my view, are mostly meme coins, except for the DePIN stuff, like the decentralized computing networks. That's real stuff, really cool stuff. Absolutely love it. I've been a supporter of a project called Akash for years now. I have a validator over there. But besides the decentralized physical stuff, like the computing networks, the AI apps and the AI mini projects and the models, we have no idea who's going to win that race, what the winner is going to look like, or what the long-term real value accrual layers for AI are. All this is to say that AI, to me, are just meme coins of a different variety. But what's cool about the AI coins and their mimetic nature to me is that with meme coins, there was something like 34 million meme coins created in the last 6 months. So throwing a dart and hitting a winner in memes is about the same. I think there was only one coin in the last 3 months that hit like 100 million from zero. And so to hit like a winner in a meme coin, if you're using that measure, was about 1 in 34 million. Whereas these AI coins, there's a few dozen that have a convincing product offering. So if AI gets hot, chances are your AI coin will get hot. So you have like a much higher probability of getting something that actually moves up. And we all know a coin that goes up in value is a good coin. And this is reality. We know people want to make money. So I would say that AI coins are actually memes of a different a different type, a different variety, and it's actually your odds of winning are higher. We also don't know what they should be valued, so they could go to $100 bazillion, and no one can say that it shouldn't be that. And they also have no fundamental, real like revenues to back themselves, so they could go up and down as much as you like, just like meme coins. There's nothing really stopping them from going to infinity or zero. So, but there's much less selection because it's a much harder to put together a convincing concept around AI with a product, with a use case. So to me, trading AI coins is a really, really risk adjusted place to be. Obviously, I'm big in gaming. I would say that if you're going to do gaming, you want to go for infrastructure or projects that touch a lot of games, because the chance that any one game will succeed is less than many. And then memes. Memes are kind of where everyone's gravitating this cycle. And my thesis is some of these early memes that we've seen stand out. Obviously, I've covered only a few on my channel, which is Pepe with Mog, and those I've been covering for quite some time now. And those I could see continuing to get extremely strong. Something happened in early 2021 where they created a site called pump.fun. This is a site where people can create meme coins in just a few seconds. And the result was millions and millions of meme coins being created. And so the saturation of supply is there. And in my opinion, what that means is that newer meme coins will be much less likely to sort of reach a critical mass where they get momentum. Whereas these earlier crop of meme coins have a chance to go on those sort of Shiba Inu style runs where when retail comes, and we use that term loosely because it's lost a little bit of its meaning, but when the real mania happens, I think things like Pepe, who knows how high they could go. There's memes that are more normie focused, and I'm not going to mention them here. I just bit my tongue. But my point is, while some of these seem like they might have run, memes don't really operate by traditional logic. So if the mania comes, some of these sort of more well-traveled memes that are listed on all the exchanges that, are a little bigger, well, just because they're a little bigger doesn't mean they can't go bananas. So I think that the risk-adjusted strategy with memes is to really try to find some of those long-term ones that you think are going to be part of the meat of the mania phase. And I think that the ones I mentioned earlier are really good ones. Probably Pepe is the one that I think has the best chance of just being like a maniacal run. But Mog tends to follow Pepe as well, and Whiff tends to pump when Solana does well. So those are the way I would play memes, is to kind of go for, I don't like the term blue chip because there's no such thing as blue chip, but to go for more of the solidified memes that tend to move with the market. Otherwise, if you're looking to really take risk on, I would take very, very small amounts of money and try to figure out how to buy like super cheap early meme coins with tiny, tiny amounts of money. I'm talking about tens of dollars, maybe hundreds of dollars. You don't need a lot if you're going to see these things fly, because chances are you're going to lose money on almost all of them. But you're essentially gambling lotto ticket style, that you could have a winner that could give you some scratch. And then if you do win, I would roll those into fundamentally strong projects.
Elliot, what's next for Superverse and Imposters? I know some stuff you probably can't say, but what's next?
So when we met last time, I was telling you, Super was relaunching. It had a vision of being a universal gaming token and project that connected the users and liquidity across gaming projects. Because right now, behind the scenes, you have so many studios, hundreds of studios that are building aggressively really cool games of varying qualities, but some are fantastic. And these are not necessarily people who understand crypto incredibly well. And to do the gaming thing with excellence is already hard enough. So we're pairing up with a lot of these incredible builders and helping bring the community layer to them. And so what you saw, that battle, that journey that started with 15 of the highest quality games in the space, is getting continued, and there will be many, many more token integrations into games across the entire space, so that Super really fulfills its goal of being that universal gaming coin. Now, on the tech layer, there is going to be a ton of announcements and developments. Their stuff's already been sort of built and is in testing. And really, the underpinnings of what Super is going to be offering on the protocol layer will be revealed in a couple of months' time from now. Really exciting stuff. But the developments there are honestly, for me, just super exciting. You guys know how long I've been working on this project, and as much as it's we've been now a public project or a functioning project now for well over 3 years, and it still just feels so early. It feels so young and so new and so fresh, and I just get very excited about the future.
And how about imposters? I know you made that epic hire and Pete, that I don't know how much you're involved still, probably a lot, but obviously you hired really notable people to bring it through. What?
Yeah, Imposters is has an amazing game studio. It is currently, it just had an awesome game test with the whole community, and essentially that is going to focus on doing as commercially viable of a rollout as possible. I mean, the goal is to make an amazing video game that captivates the love, the excitement, the attention of the Web2 community. And obviously, we have the know-how as to how to layer in the Web3 stuff in a really fun way. But yeah, the Imposters project is humming along with incredible leadership.
Elliot, I appreciate you taking the time, giving your perspective to the audience. Final thoughts for the Altcoin Daily Army.
I think that I would just like to say, if there's ever a time to believe in something, to really just believe that we are right about the thesis, the hypothesis, the theory that's gotten us here, to believe that this is an important technology, that it's going to be revolutionary, and that it's going to have a tremendous and dramatic impact on our financial future. I think now's the time, because if we're right, we'll start seeing this play out very, very soon. And if we're wrong, we'll probably know, by middle 2025, that, hey, look, this isn't quite what we think it's going to be. Maybe things are a little different, but you have essentially 12 months here, which in the larger scheme of things for a lot of people is not a lot of time. And I would encourage everyone to lock in, to do their best to take the pessimistic voices and, quiet them down, because I believe that those who are steadfast and believing that this market is everything we thought it would be and is going to deliver, not only on the tech side, but also on the price side, I think that now's the time to believe and to be as long as you can, because we'll know whether we're right or wrong soon. And I believe that we're seeing all signs that things are going very well.
I love it. Thanks, man.
Thank you for having me. As always, love being on here. Shout out to the Altcoin Daily Army, and I'll see you soon.